Many of us have seen the beautiful stories, the beautiful pictures, the beautiful videos of couples on our social media pages who are married and they're seemingly living their best lives. They look so adorable together and they seem to complement each other in so many different ways. And the key word here is seem. Now, many of us see people online and we automatically say, oh, they're so happy, they look so happy and so perfect, and their marriage is so wonderful. And these assumptions are only being garnered based on photographs and videos that these people would have chosen by design, by the way, to post to their social media pages to paint a particular picture. Now, there are some people who are genuinely, in reality, living lives that are peaceful and luxurious and happy, and that's what they portray on social media, and in real life that's their reality. But there are so many couples, so many people. This video is primarily about couples, more so marriage. There are so many couples who are living a double life. On social media, they are the happy-go-lucky couple who are seemingly so in love with each other, and they finish each other's sentences, and they love each other so much that they're just oozing with the stuff. And then in real life, they are living like, I can't even say cat and dogs, because nowadays you've seen images of cats and dogs who are living seemingly peaceable lives together. But they are living in a living hell here on earth. They are being abused in different ways, shapes, and forms. They're being hit with different objects for different reasons, sometimes for no apparent reason at all, but just for being there. But when it comes onto social media, we are so happy. Can't you tell? Stop it. Be very careful about the type of relationship that you choose to idolize. As a matter of fact, don't idolize anyone's relationship. We should not be idolizing anyone's relationship. We should not be idolizing anyone, not even ourselves, right? So just bear that in mind, right? We should not be idolizing anything or anyone. That aside, start watering your own grass. If the grass is dry and it needs a little bit of moisture, figure out how to add the right amount of water consistently at the right time so that your grass can start to grow and flourish and be green and lush and full. Stop idolizing people's relationships on social media, especially those who you think highly of, whether it's a celebrity or somebody that you know who is an influencer or have some sort of influence over your life in a positive way that you look up to. Do not put other people's relationships on a pedestal to say, okay, this is what you want your relationship to be like, unless you know without a shadow of a doubt what goes on behind closed doors. If you don't esteem their relationship so highly that you want that for yourself. Because sometimes what you're asking for, so we must be careful what we ask for. Sometimes what you're asking for is toxicity and narcissism to enter your life space, and you don't even know, because you're just looking at the surface. You don't know the behind the scenes of what is happening in those people's lives. Be your own relationship goals. If you have a relationship, a marriage, speaking in the context of marriage, and it's not exactly as fruitful as you want it to be, analyze the situation and ask yourself, why is your marriage not as fruitful as you want to be? Is it something that you are not doing that you ought to do? Is it something that you are doing that you ought not to be doing? Is it something that your partner is doing that he or she has no business doing? Or is it something that they are doing that you need to get on board with doing also, so that you both can benefit in a positive way in the relationship and the marriage experience? So you'll have to do that groundwork for yourself. Is it that the Most High is not involved in your marriage? Is it that the Most High is not leading your partner? Is it that the Most High is not leading you? Is it that you're so focused on what your partner is not doing that you forget about the things that you ought to be doing according to scripture, depending on whether or not you're a man? These are things to think about. But don't see someone's relationship on social media and automatically assume that this person is happy and is in a healthy relationship situation or a healthy marriage, because that is not always the case. Social media has created a fake reality artificial existence that many people buy into and feed into on a daily basis. Sometimes you have to draw back from social media, log out of some of those social media pages, deactivate the accounts for a while, and just do a social media detox, because it's important for us to be able to separate reality from fiction, to be able to separate reality from the what they're calling now the metaverse that they're moving into, where the world is headed into a virtual reality, right? We have to be able to separate the real from the fake. We have to be able to separate the physical from the spiritual in a lot of cases. And some people, they are unable to do that for whatever reason, and so they get caught up in this virtual reality that has been framed, deliberately curated for a certain group of people to foster and generate certain thoughts, and you can call it agenda setting theory if you'd so please. And so we have to be very careful about those that we choose to follow on social media and the messaging that they actually put out through their various platforms. We can't just be looking at it and say, oh, I like this person, I like how they look, I like the pictures that they take, I love the fact that they go to all these luxurious restaurants and these awesome exotic resorts and countries, and so they are living seemingly healthy lives. A lot of these people, not all of them, a lot of them also are suffering with different mental health issues, such as depression, such as anxiety, such as, what's the word? There's another thing that, well, some mental health issues that causes them to be on different types of medication that helps to keep them in a sense where they're able to function in a way that is good for them, right? And so a lot of the times we don't see these things on social media. We see the after effects or the results of these things, not knowing how these people got to where they're at, how they're able to maintain it, what they have to do, what they have to give up, what they have to sacrifice to ensure that they're able to keep this lifestyle that they've carefully curated for us to view on their social media pages. A lot of what you see on social media is not even real. Like I said, it has been crafted, curated, and framed to be presented in a particular way to elicit certain specific responses in people. And that is by design, right? And so that is something that we always have to bear in mind. It makes no sense comparing ourselves and our relationships or marriages to things that may not necessarily be a reality for a lot of people. Work on your own marriages. If there are things in your marriage that needs fixing, pray and ask the Most High to guide you accordingly as to how you can fix those things. If it's some deficiencies in your partner, even in yourself, that you need fixing for, again, ask the Most High for wisdom, knowledge, understanding, guidance, and discernment as to how you can go about fixing or remedying these things, instead of comparing your partner or your marriage to someone else's. Because sometimes you may see a marriage and you think that, oh, it is strong and healthy, and what you don't see is the verbal abuse, it's the psychological abuse, it's the emotional abuse, it's the sexual abuse, it's the physical abuse that is taking place behind closed doors. So we have to be very careful. I'll give you two examples. We have a friend of ours who has been married for over a decade, right? Him and his wife, they have children together. And, we thought that their marriage was fine. And the wife would always be encouraging us, support each other, build together, money is not everything, and you just support your partner, and all the good stuff that, one would expect a good and healthy marriage to have. And like something happened, the relationship grew toxic to the point where it became physical, and blood was drawn, hands were laid, and instruments were used to inflict wounds. The wife actually attacked the husband with a knife, and he was cut a few times, right, in front of the children. And he didn't retaliate. He simply restrained his wife and was able to get the weapon out of her hand, right? We didn't see that coming. right? Because we thought that their relationship was good and healthy. And so I think for me, I used to look at them and I used to say, oh, wow, their relationship is so good. They're doing so much together. And, they seem to have it all figured out and yada, 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 yada. That was not the case. So speaking to the husband, he was saying that, look, we've always been having this issue. However, we never spoke about it. We didn't really make anybody know because, he chose to just keep it under the wraps. It didn't get to the point where it got physical when it was festering, but, they would have verbal exchanges and so forth. We didn't know that until the thing spilled out where it got physical, right? And so again, classic example of why we shouldn't just look at people's relationship that seem healthy and say, oh, you want your relationship to be like that, because you don't know. You simply don't know. I know of another situation where a young lady who I went to university with, she is from another Caribbean island, not Jamaica, but she got married. And listen, when I saw the marriage or the wedding photographs on Facebook at the time, I thought, wow, she looked extremely beautiful and gorgeous in her gown, and her husband looked handsome in his suit. And it would seem like a Cinderella fairy tale type of thing. And it looked so perfect and so good. And they would post pictures of when they had their children and so forth, and they would be going out on different outings, and it just looked good. It looked good and happy. And come to find out, like years later, because I came off Facebook, and then years later, I think that was a few months ago, I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw her. We're not friends on Instagram, but I saw her profile pop up. I don't even know how I came across her profile, but anyways, I did come across her profile. And she was sharing her story of how she has been living a lie all this time, that her marriage was loveless and it was very abusive, to the point where her husband actually took her head and hit it into a wall, to the point where I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, she actually lost consciousness for a little time. And the husband was basically telling her that, look at you. I could just get rid of you right now and it would be the easiest thing. It would be nothing. And it's alleged that the husband is a police officer based on her story. So this video that she was saying all of this thing is, it was public, because again, we're not friends on Instagram, and her profile is not private. So I was able to see her story, and it even made the local news in her country, wherein she was saying that she basically had to flee the country because she felt as though her life was being threatened. And because it is a case where he's a member of the force in that area or in that region, that country, she was not getting the level of assistance that she needed to get based on her account. And so she had to flee. And I was looking at it and I was like, oh wow, that's the reality for a lot of people. And she was saying, yes, I was posting the beautiful pictures and the family vacations and the date nights and so forth, but behind all of that, I was being hit, I was being abused, and I kept silent about it for a good while, to the point wherein she said, I'm not keeping quiet anymore. I have to tell somebody. I have to get out of this. I have to get some help. I don't remember what it was that happened that drove her to the point to say, no, I can't stay in this. I have to get out. But something happened during that whole time frame that pushed her to say, no, look, you can't stay in this any longer. You have to say something to somebody. You have to get out for yourself and for your children, or else he's going to get rid of you for good. And so to me, that is scary. That is scary because, again, when you see these carefully curated videos and images being put on social media, you do not know what is happening behind closed doors a lot of the times. And that is why we should not put anyone's relationship on a pedestal. For me personally, when I just got married, I was excited. It was a fresh experience. It was new. It was just my husband and myself. And so I was excited to share our lives with other people. And so we would have date nights, and I would have us take pictures. My husband is not a picture person, but I would have us take pictures, and then I would post them on my my social media pages. And I think it was one day I was talking to him about something, and he was saying that, babe, you don't have to be posting our pictures on social media like that, because it's not important. It's not a big deal for me. We don't have to do that. And it's not necessary. And when I really thought about it, he was absolutely right. There was no reason for me to be posting or outings on social media, because it's not anyone else's business. And truthfully, a lot of people are just going to come on there to look and to fasten your business, to be inquisitive. They don't really care 2 cents about whether or not your relationship is healthy. They just want to know that they're able to get some scoop about your life and what you're doing and what you're potentially doing and the plans that you have and how you're living. Because some people, that's just what they're about. They don't really care about integrity and quality. They care about quantity. And so for them, it's just a little social media feed. Is just to be inquisitive and to get some insights about your life. They don't really care about you to see whether or not you're happy. They just want to know what's going on with you, right? And so we have to be careful again about what we choose to share on social media. We have to ensure that whatever it is that we're sharing, it is something that we are comfortable with others knowing about us, knowing that it will not come back to bite us in the butts later, hopefully. And so I stopped sharing photographs of myself and my husband. If you look on social media, you will not see any photographs of my daughter. We do not want her on social media. And that's just something that we chose for ourselves and for our family. Not telling you as to whether or not you should do that. I'm just saying be very careful, because when you start putting out certain things on social media, you start to feed into that culture or that need that they've created for us to have en masse, of wanting to fit into a particular mold that, again, they have carefully curated and framed for us to fit into. And for many people, when they do not fit into that carefully curated mold of what the elites have created, they start to feel depressed. They start to feel anxious. They start to feel like they don't love themselves. They don't love their partners anymore. They don't love their marriages. They don't love their lives, because their lives do not match the carefully curated narrative that the powers that be have created for us to fit into. So we have to be very careful and very mindful about that as well. So water your own grass. Sometimes the grass is greener on the other side, but the grass is greenest where it is being watered properly with the appropriate amount at the appropriate time. And so the grass is able to flourish and to grow and to be green and lush. And sometimes too, the greenery and the grass looking green and plush and nice, it can be fake. It can be synthetic. So be careful, right? Be very careful. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. You've thought about it? All right, subscribe. And definitely hit that notification bell so you can know when I post another video. So check out the next video that YouTube believes will be the best option for you to watch right now. Right here, somewhere on the screen. All right, leave your comments and let me know what you thought about this video and about this topic. These are just some friendly reminders that marriage does work and can work if you put work into it. Put into your marriage what you want to get out of it. Thank you for watching.